Anyways,
Oh, bah.
Welcome.
welcome back to the Working
the
Title
Herodric
Podcast.
Cube.
The Herodric Cube is here at the podcast.
We have the Herodric Cube.
So in
Now we
case
can
you're
make the
wondering,
Herodric staff.
we missed our regularly scheduled Sunday podcast because life rolled a nat 20, or
We all rolled
depending
nat
on how you
20s.
depending how you look at it, we rolled some real stanky nat ones. Boy, wish I had that inspiration. But you know, you win some and then you don't. That's okay. So we decided, hey, fuck it, why not just redo this, do it on a Tuesday,
On a Tuesday.
going up
On
on a Tuesday. Okay, so this week's podcast, we have a couple of random encounter questions, and then we have a brand new character creation segment that we are going to explain when we get there. As always, it's me, Anthony, WarBoner. You can find me here on YouTube where you're at, or here on Twitch where you're at if you're watching there, or at boner_war on Twitter. And to the far side, we've got...
Wait, am I on the far side? I'm
Yeah,
on the far
yeah,
side.
yeah,
Oh,
you're on
yeah,
the
yeah.
far side.
My name is Al Debrecht. You can call me Al. At Twitter, on Twitter, at capital A, capital K, Imler.
Well, all
And
right.
That's underneath my name. Should be in my name. That's underneath my name, right? I'm on the queue, right? I'm doing it right?
I think you're doing it okay.
And I'm
Okay,
just a
okay.
guy with a beard, a freshly oiled, manicured beard. This episode is sponsored by Ridge Wallet. No, it's not.
Speaking about beer,
Look.
No, it's not.
let me tell you about my wallet.
Yep, that's how we do it. Welcome
I was
to
thinking- I was
Wallet
gonna
Beard
think of
Podcast.
Manscaped,
if this ever
Ridge Wallet's just
Rid-
came to
everywhere.
mind,
Yeah.
It's like
You
Raid
kn-
Shadow Legends.
I would have also accepted sponsored by, and you open your beard and there's Raycons. You're like,
Yeah.
Raycons E25 every day.
Jesus.
All right,
I-
let's get into it.
I actually do own a pair of Raycon E25 headset
I almost
headphones.
bought those.
Dude, they're nice. Anyways, we'll save that for when they sponsor us. Okay,
No freebies.
so
You gotta pay for that shit. Top
one thing that we
Like 5
completely, like, it took us by surprise. Now, longtime viewers of this podcast will know that we have had a sordid history, if you will, with leveling and milestone leveling specifically within our current campaign. Yeah, so we got a freaking level. Finally. It was
it's
out of the
been-
blue.
It's been what, 2 months since the last level?
Yeah, you know, something like that. 2 months, somewhere along the lines of like 400 hours or something like that. I don't. Anyways,
We're currently level 9, and that's after a year of campaign. Now, if we're going for a long form campaign, that makes sense. We were never informed about that. So yeah, the levels come in really fucking
was
slow. It
Like,
almost feels
briefly
like,
mentioned, but yeah, you're right. It
Yeah.
wasn't like what we had thought.
well, that's
Nope.
the thing
We'd be
is,
starving for things, you know.
yeah, exactly.
Equipment or otherwise.
give me levels.
Well, but like,
Uh,
I mean, like, if you're going from one DM to an exact opposite of that DM, you need to have some warning. Otherwise, there's going to be the same thing that you get when you mix hot water with cold water. Yeah, your
Lukewarm
glasses
water.
might fucking explode. No, I meant hot wind with cold wind. You get a fucking tornado that happens.
Yeah,
The same thing happened between the two campaigns. We've been bitching about this for a while, but
true.
we're gonna keep bitching about it until the fucking campaign ends. But again,
In a few
It's-
sessions.
yeah, but it just
So,
like, and it just seems like he just threw it at us too. Like there didn't seem to be like any reason why we got it. It was just Mandatory level up time. Cool. Have fun with that, guys. All right, that's your last one.
For what it's worth, there's no mandatory level because Milestone
No, but
is up to the whimsy of the dungeon master. But
yeah, it's the same thing as going, oh, that's what my character would do. Is it
Yeah.
just feels like, all right, listen, you little shit.
but so just for posterity's sake, let's do the campaign diary recap real fast because I know we have a lot of content that we want to do here in just a second. So when last we left off here, we had just entered the park, which is a giant magical made structure. Think like a national park, right? Like something akin to like Yellowstone, except that there's like a mild population in there of humanoid people who are like living and coexisting, and druids. So we went through it. We went through one leg out of the 3 choices of hiking trails that we could take, and we came up with some fun memories and friends along the way. Needless to say, we didn't complete our quest. Not on this leg. Okay, that's fine.
Long shot.
Yeah, not by a long shot. We ran into an ancient red dragon that was sleeping. My character, of course, wanted to assault it, take its gold. We were in its lair, on its gold, but I guess suicide isn't a fun thing in D&D. It's not a fun thing in real life, but in D&D, you can have some fun with it. So we got out of there. Someone mistook some nudists for some wildlings attacking us. It was such bullshit. Go for it.
Okay, so let me paint you a story. I've always wanted to use the Find Steed spell for my paladin, and finally got to use it. We're out in the wilderness, we didn't bring our horses. Figured I'd be able to track some distance and use it as like a distraction or another ally in combat, right?
Yeah.
As it should be.
As it should be. Little did I know the DM takes spells and twists them into not how they are written. And so he had given my loyal steed its own sentience and its own dialogue options, and was basically just trying to not do anything that I wanted it to do and cat's paw me the entire time. Like,
so it's because he hung up on the fact that it said that it summons a spirit, and he said, oh, you're in the Fae, there's spirits here, you get one that doesn't like you. That's fine. That's his purview.
That's why I tried to read the spell to him nonchalantly.
Nonchalantly.
Like word for word, and then like it's got a plus like 6 to its intelligence, so it's already like smart. Like it's super smart for a horse.
For a horse, it's damn near genius.
Yeah, and so I was trying to be like, just stop, like let me use this mechanically how I want to. I wanted to have a sentry. I can talk to it a mile away telepathically.
Yep.
That's perfect. You know, we're not like,
but
let me have my cake.
Instead, much like the Fae do, the horse followed your words exactly, with a twist on him.
With a twist. Right?
Wherever he could get a twist,
which was funny, and I'm like,
twist.
okay, well, you're just doing this to yourself, essentially. It's not
That's
like
right.
Like he's doing it to be funny, and I picked up on that. I was like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But
so
still, it's kind of weird.
we had to dig our way out of an ancient red dragon's lair, which was he kept saying the word skull, but it was like
he kept saying
it was like a portion of a skull. Like if you like on this side of my hand, it was like a portion of a skull. But somehow my character figured that out.
This is I will somewhat side with the DM here. He said that it's akin to an eye socket in the skull. So therefore, we immediately all thought skull. It's a skull. It's a giant underground skull.
Yep.
Skull Island. Yep.
Now in my opinion, he should have gone. No. It's just like it's just been carved out stone. It looks
So
like the top half of a eye socket or something like that,
yeah,
but it's just literally been carved out. If you had
yeah,
said that, fine.
perfect.
He let us go on these wild assumptions without stopping us. And I'm not saying that the DM needs to sit there and go,
Well,
no, now, babies, you have to walk over here, otherwise you'll get hit by the car. No, it's fine if the players get hit by a car once or twice. Not, this is metaphorically. But the problem is
it's fine if the characters get hit by a car.
yeah, but the problem is
So-
when you let your players go that far off the track, and then later on you're like, no, it's not like that at all. The immediately they're gonna go, the
Yeah.
fuck?
But for what it's worth. So now, so we went in through a tunnel, right? And then we did this thing. We went down to the bottom. We found the ancient dragon. I was like, hey, clearly this is where we're gonna check out. Let's just fight it, because this has been going on like longer than it was supposed to. For those of you watching, we have a rotation of DM and player in our group, and so one person DMs and then another person will DM, and we go in a year rotation, right? So it's been a year. So it's that time. It's about that time to hit the old dusty trail.
Yeah.
But when he described how we got in and out, this is literally what happened. He said, so if this is an eye socket, right? You went down to the bottom by where the jaw is, and then you went up to the other eye socket to go out the other way. I'm like, okay, so we're sticking with the skull metaphor. This is a skull,
Yeah.
right? So that's where a lot of us are like, it must be a skull. Regardless, we got out. There was a big cartoonish plume of smoke, and then people started rushing at us. And luckily, we are paranoid enough, because in most situations, our DM has put us in the situations where if we don't react, we will get hurt. So when nameless, formless beings are running at us and they're obscured to the point where we're like, hey, stop, and they just keep running. Well, some of us have homebrewed a hand cannon that has shrapnel and fires it after yelling to stop, and then maybe kills 10 nudists that were part of this nudist colony. I was like, can we get some XP for that, please? It's got to be worth something. But
yeah, that's at least 10 people. That's
Yeah.
quite a
so
large amount of people. That's at least
so
20
the
XP, right?
so the shenanigans happened. We got through it. We went to the next island where we ended up getting poisonous fruit, which we'll use later, because heavy, it like changes your density and poisons you. So that'd be kind of cool. You could levitate someone, shoot them with the poison, and then they take double fall damage, mechanically speaking. But
or shoot someone that's swimming.
yeah. Oh, ooh, that's good. Anyways. So we went through that, and then we got all the way to the end. Found some fish people in a pond where they live or whatever. Turns out they're spreading communism. So cue the Russian nationalist music. We got out of that, and then we called it there. We went back to the beginning of another trail because we're looking for this gang whose hideout is in this national park. So that's where we ended. We ended with a level. We all gained a level. My forge cleric finally got 5th level spells, which is sweet, except that the only spell that I can take is mass cure wounds. That's fine. It just means that I can res a bunch of people at once. I mean, heal. Heal, because I frivolously use my spells like that. What about your character, Dan?
What did I gain?
Yeah.
Well, I got level 3 warlock, so I got to pick my pact finally.
Nice.
It was a tough choice in between getting level 7, which is Aura of Hate, which is just better
from the Oathbreaker Paladin.
Yeah, from the Oathbreaker Paladin. Actually, let me pull that up. Because that was a tough one for me. So if we get one more level, which I would think that we would, but maybe we.
He said he wanted to end us at level 10. I told him, just give us 2 levels, and we'll be fine.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Which I'd get a ASI or a feat for level 4, and that would be more helpful than just
Another paladin level.
yeah, another warlock level. I mean, another paladin level.
Yeah. And so it was either,
Diamond engagement ring.
let's turn that background ad off. So it's either take a level in paladin, which your subclass is Oathbreaker, or
Mhm.
take a level in warlock, which your subclass is Hexblade.
Hexblade. Yep.
All
And
right.
so Pact of the Blade is just basically giving me the ability to summon my weapon as an action, which is kind of neat. Probably
Mhm.
won't use it a ton unless if I am completely disarmed.
Sure.
But yeah, nothing too crazy. Got a warlock spell. That's pretty nice. I forget what I chose.
That's always nice.
Um,
Warlocks don't have much, man. You got two
no,
you got
they're
two half caster classes put together and they
Yeah.
still don't make a whole caster, but at least you got another one.
Oh, I haven't
Nice.
even picked it yet. I'm in
All right.
between being invisible, doing invisibility, or really thought Earthbind was cool. The
Sure.
rope
Yeah.
300 feet
Yeah.
away, gotcha,
Yeah.
and then strength saving throw, and
Nice.
they're restrained. Like
Yeah.
that would be pretty handy.
Yeah.
My wisdom's not very good, but my strength is pretty nice.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Um,
All right. And then you ended up going with the warlocks so that way you could get your pact, right? And you picked
Yeah.
Pact of the Blade?
Yeah, and it doesn't really seem like there's anything that great about it except for the spawning of the weapon.
Well,
Um,
for what it's worth, Pact of the Blade comes online on the next iteration. But it's what so Dan here is he's multi-classing a Hexadin. So Paladin, Hexblade Warlock, like probably the most broken multi-class build, but that's because some of us enjoy optimizing. And you know what? That's okay. But I got a Forge Cleric who, boy, just a pure Forge Cleric that is I can't
Pretty
wait till
strong.
dude, I can't wait till combat. Plus with the dwarven armor, 23 AC with the chicken strips. Ah. But what about Mr. Rabe, our company rogue?
Something actually pretty good that I just started looking into a little while ago. I got Token to the Departed since I am
Yes.
playing a Phantom Rogue. When a
Yup.
life ends in your presence, you're able to snatch a token from the departing soul, a sliver of its life essence that takes physical form. As a reaction, when the creature you see dies within 30 feet of you, you can open your
Yes.
free hand and cause a tiny trinket to appear there, a soul trinket. The
Yep.
DM determines the trinket's form or has you roll on the trinkets table in the player's handbook to generate it.
Nice.
Now, in
Dude.
in the hands of a good DM, this could be great.
Yeah.
In our current DM, I'm like,
Dude, look, just
Okay.
roll on the table and call it a day. But
yeah,
there's so much that you can do with those trinkets. So much. If I'm not mistaken, you can basically just not die as long as you have a trinket in your hand.
while soul trinket is on your person, you have advantage on death saving throws and constitution saving throws. Where
Yup.
your vitality is enhanced by the life essence within it.
Advantage on death
When you
saving
deal
throws.
sneak attack damage on your turn, you can destroy one of your soul trinkets that's on your person and then immediately use Wails from the Grave without expending any use of the feature. Basically, if I've got advantage on every single person, I can just use Wails from the Grave every single time I fucking attack. Which
Yup.
is
Pretty
very
fucking
nice.
tits, man. That's really
Yeah.
nice. But so that's only 3 out of our 5 players. Yeah. 5 players. Yeah, 5 players.
Yeah.
The other one's a monk. She got some dope monk shit. And then the other one is also an Oathbreaker paladin toe stepping. But
Not by choice.
I know. The whole situation bothers me, and everybody who's watched
We've
this
talked
from
about it
like,
before.
yeah, we've talked about this like 10 whole episodes ago. It just
Yeah.
bugs me when you put a choice that is not really a choice in front of a player who is under a time constraint.
Right. That didn't really understand the
Yeah.
consequences. I think he was trying to be playing to his character and being defiant.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
Like, I think he probably could have gotten some kudos for that. You know.
Yep. Right there. You are not wrong. So, that being the case, that's where we ended. And so next up, we're gonna go ahead and tackle our usual random encounter questions. So the first one we've got, boys, zombie outbreak. So zombies,
Yes.
obviously, undead are pretty big in D&D, just in general. There's that necromancer build where you could get like 139 undead fucking minions if you really overpowered everything.
Yeah.
There's zombies are sick, all different kinds of zombies. They've got like 6 different kinds of just zombies at this point. They've got all sorts of corporeal and uncorporeal or undead. So my question is,
It's all that.
how would you run one in D&D? Either you can do it as like a whole campaign. Is this going to be like the Resident Evil movies, or just as a side quest? Maybe fucking adventurers just come across a town where one person gets bit, 3 people get bit, 5 people are bit, so on and so forth. So that, how would you run one? And then also, how would you as a player, like how would you have your character, just any character, kind of like survive, or maybe even end it, just shy of course, like a wish spell or fucking crazy magics. Let's keep it low magic. How do you go about that?
I think if you did it as a side quest of like the players are in a town,
Mhm.
and a few of the patrons at the bar look a little sickly, the player, the party doesn't realize it, and then later on, like the next day or something, like they rent rooms from a different inn because all of our rooms are taken up here. So they go to a different inn, and then it's just everyone that was in that inn is a safe people, and everyone outside is bad. And then have it be like almost like a survival game where cool, it's daytime, you have 8 hours of daylight. Zombies zombies have disadvantage on everything. Almost make it like vampires, where in daylight zombies have disadvantage on everything, and then nighttime, that's when you're like, all right, who's on watch?
So you'd be doing the I Am
You're
Legend.
all fighting. Almost, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
And then I think it would be like akin to them trying out different things to see how they can replicate the sun's light, and then eventually give them like magic items that they can slay the undead with. Or have it be a set amount of like, okay, there's 100 denizens in this town, so there are going to be, let's say that 95 of them are now zombies, and 5 people are in the inn, and those can be like this is the weapons guy, and this is the tinkerer, and this is the person who makes food, and this is the person who cleans stuff. And then like have your necessary NPCs, and then everyone else is zombies, and then go, okay, cool. Either you guys survive for this long while you wait for reinforcements because you let a bird out or something like that, or kill all 95 zombies. There we go. But don't tell the players that. Like, just let them figure it out by trial and error. Like, oh, hey, the zombie horde has not grown, and if anything, it looks a bit pale compared to yesterday.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, I got you. Just don't let them know that, like, you're thinning the herd out, but let them thin the herd out, and eventually they might fight their way out.
Through context, have it be like, okay, like it is very populated tonight, but maybe after a week of them fighting off the zombies in the daytime, cool. Now the raids are less often at night. There's not as many attacking at night either.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I
like it. I like it a lot. What about you, Dan?
So I like the 1 second.
I like the too.
Dude, that's my favorite. Is the
me too. So I would like to completely sideline the characters. I'd like to see if 1 second. There's distractions.
So have it be a surprise.
So yeah, have it be a surprise, and so let's say it's an escorting mission.
Okay.
Sorry, do you want to just go ahead and go? I gotta take a second.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. So we'll come back to that one while we scry on Dan. All right. Yep. So for me, I would kind of want it to be an entire campaign. I like the idea of like letting the players watch the world die around them, kind of like Resident Evil movies, shit like that. Like start it out fresh. Maybe I would actually probably have them start out in the epicenter, you know, like most zombie movies. Like if you wanted to go like a full blown canon, right? It'd be water deep, right? Go full blown, like something as big as water deep. It's got a couple fucking dozen thousand or whatever, like 60,000 people, I think, or 100,000 people. And I would have it so that way, like, they start and all of a sudden, big fights, explosions, so on. Sorry, one sec. There we go. And then they have to escape because I would just immediately hit them with overwhelming numbers and be like, yep, water deep, just for example's sake, has fallen. You guys are now. This is an ode to Napa cabbage. Hi, Dan. Of all the cabbages on all the cabbage
my monitor looks all washed out, or the color's all weird.
Okay. Maybe your camera white levels probably. But so I'd have them have to escape, right? But it'd be on foot. They'd go for horses or whatever, get eaten. Summon a steed, get eaten. Don't care. like anything that's got like, we have hope. Yeah, you do. And now you don't. It's okay. And then once they finally escape,
they fall from the sky.
Dude, rock zombies fall, everybody dies.
Yo,
so
those rock zombies are pretty fucking deadly, bro.
rock zombie. Anyways,
I like that. A rock zombie. I like that sense of panic and like, oh fuck, we gotta just keep moving. Nothing's working.
Yeah.
So as a quick side tangent, that's what I'm hoping to accomplish with my next campaign, but not zombies. It would be like tents. And then there'd be small little bouts of like, okay. All right, we got
little
this.
Breaks,
yeah,
little breath.
We're good. Maybe a couple of sessions go by, and then oh my god. Anyway, so I'd have it be that, and as they travel, maybe I'd end up trying to get the story to loop back around to whatever the epicenter, like wherever patient zero is.
The source.
Yeah, and then they'd have to go back, and that would, by the time they got back, it would be such a big deal. It'd be like entering Raccoon City.
Yes.
And you have to get here in order to stop it, because of course I'd want it to be like tropey, necromancer summons everything. You kill the necromancer, you killed all the zombies.
Right.
And they won't know. And they won't know that until they like about halfway through their revolution to come back, and that's when they'd be like, oh, okay, we have to go back and kill him. We do that, we save the world. And then boom, you've got yourself a quest. Like, that's just how I would do it. As a player,
that sounds cool, man.
As a player, alchemist fire. That's how you stop it, right there.
Soup people.
Like just know it. Soup people. Just knowing mechanically. Like, obviously, this is a bit metagamey, right? But eventually, I can only assume that you would learn that I believe it is radiant damage or fire damage. I think it's radiant damage. If you hit them with radiant or fire, then they don't get their undead constitution where they can come back up. So eventually, it'd be flame strikes. Fucking, I'd hopefully have a firebrand by that. But anything that's going to be fire or radiant damage, or both, or whatever the fuck it is. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But that would just be, I'd be like, okay, because luckily in D&D, unless the DM wanted to give you a stamina, like a constitution check for stamina to see how long you can keep fighting, we could literally just continue fighting forever. And eventually, hopefully, we take out enough of them to get, action economy. Breaking it down into mechanical terms. We'd get action economy on our side, and then we'd just take out the zombies. So, before you were assaulted by a dog and child mimic, how would you run it?
So as I was saying, I'd like to sideline the players. Like, so if you're starting a campaign, have no inkling of like a survival horror aspect to it,
Yeah.
and just either a simple, you're out and around foraging or trying to find monsters to kill, or you're guiding an NPC to a different town that you also want to go to. You're attacked by undead, nothing crazy. You're all level 3, whatever.
Yeah.
You kill the undead, maybe someone, either a player, which I think would be more interesting, or a NPC gets bitten. And over the course of 3 days, they deteriorate into a zombie.
Nice.
Either you get them to where they're going, or you completely abandon them. Same sort of thing where the problem escalates. It doesn't get solved, and the town where you were supposed to be going to drop the person off is like the start of the quest step, where it's basically you're you have choices of either like looking into a viable cure, basically a wish spell, something crazy, or cutting the head off the snake. And but yeah, that's pretty much all I got. But I think it would be fun to be a player in that sort of thing. And I would, for me, it's like, oh, what would you rather do? Either be a fighter, be like the door holder, hold door,
Hold door.
or be the stealth person that goes out at night and tries to scavenge stuff and set up traps or set up more defenses or baits and stuff like that, where there could be a ton of cool homebrew things where you've got like a noise grenade or something along the same sort of like, you only have a couple of these. If you guys fail your stealth saves traveling from building to building, you've got 2 of these, oh shit, like throw them, continue your stealth, and then distract, get away from it.
I like it.
Yeah, same sort of thing. Cut the head off the snake, that solves it. And maybe along the way there's, like you said, weapons with that they would pick up from maybe a church or something like that, or
something.
Maybe it's something,
Yeah. No, I like that a lot, actually. I was thinking while you were saying that, I noticed that the 3 of us, at least, have really come to enjoy the Big Damn Quest like outline of D&D campaigns, which is, I think, why the 3 of us, at least, I mean, I know the other 2 are similar suit, like kind of have struggled with our current campaign. Just to get off on a real quick side note, because like we like telling a story, not like
and if you don't like participating in the story, you can have the consequence. That's fine. Like if you were the person that was infected and no one else in the party is like, oh well, I don't care to fix you.
Exactly.
You just die.
No,
you just die and you come back as something else,
Yeah.
Over the week, I've been thinking about this question, because this question is like a very good world creation question where, okay, here, you don't have a world in mind. Boom, zombie outbreak. How do you deal with it? What are the consequences? How do the players solve it? And I really wanted to go with, I had this elaborate thing for a big open world, like a campaign long quest of everyone's infected. Everyone will slowly become infected. There are a few dwindling resources that you can get that will stop the infection. And the only way to get rid of the cure is this big town. The problem is every town that you go to, more people are getting infected at. So you have to kind of like, almost like Exterminatus in 40K, stop the supply line, stop the food line, burn down these next few villages. So it's almost like Russia in against Napoleon.
Oh, sure.
Burn down Moscow before they get there. Raise the crops. How are they going to live off the land now?
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
and then have it be cool. If you ignore this problem long enough, now there's a mega fuck zombie, and he is level 20, like your characters are. And have fun with that, because I gave him some homebrew abilities, bitch. Bye bye.
Oh yeah.
Know. But then I was like, I want to go with the short campaign.
Abilities.
Well, no, because if I'm going to punish the players for ignoring the quest or ignoring this thing I keep throwing at them, then I'm gonna make it come to them, and I'm gonna make it be 3 times as worse as it would have been if they went
Sure.
there.
Yeah, and the thought of like players not engaging with it, that's totally honestly, it's totally fine if players don't engage with something like this hook, right? You can keep
Yeah.
trying to reintroduce it and making it worse and worse and worse every time, but all you can do is really throw out a hook and then throw out another hook and be like, "Hey, yeah, remember your family member? Well, they're dead too now because of this." "Oh, no, we don't care about that." "Okay, well, remember your family member? Now they're dead because it's and eventually you're going to run them up a tree where they have no other alternative but to react to like what's happening." That's the best part of it, right? Is that like, I mean, eventually they have to react to it. Otherwise, it's like, oh yeah, you guys can go through all these dungeons. When you get out, everybody else on this planet is dead. And
So how would you guys run? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, that's it. That's it. Like everybody else on this planet is dead.
Yeah.
Now, how are
Your
you going
options
to
are
avoid
very
this?
limited now.
And
Yeah.
they're
I like
all
that.
at this dungeon entrance.
Yeah.
Right.
How would you guys do encounters with monsters or zombies? Like would it be, would you just generically use undead and in numbers, or would you do like lower numbered combatants but they have more health, or they have, are you going to
I think
overwhelm them with action economy, or are you going to challenge their physical
if this was to be a long oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm trailing, so go ahead.
If this was either to be a long-term or a short-term campaign, I would have it be if it's a short-term campaign, yeah, this town has like if it's the prompt I gave earlier.
Hmm.
If it's a short campaign or a sub campaign like that, a sub quest,
Yeah.
then I would have it be you are knights errant of this capital, and they're like, we're losing a lot of towns out there. We need someone to go out there, and then that way your guys are level 20. That way you guys have an advantage on the action economy, and you're like, I've got these great abilities, and then boom, there's now 50 zombies. They're all
I mean,
low. They're all low health, low health, and not 50 exactly, but you know what I'm
right.
saying. Bigger numbers, but make them feel fragile, and then
So
eventually,
minions.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then eventually, be like the closer and closer you get. Like if this was to be a long-term campaign, like what I was originally going to say, then I would have it be you are the chosen gods. They have lost all. Like they're losing power on this planet because everyone's dead. Everyone's a zombie.
Sure.
And when you have 500
So
followers and half of them are zombies, the other half is going to start losing faith
sure.
because yeah,
But
those
like
guys
a
are zombies.
single
Our God isn't protecting us.
but like a single encounter, I think is what he's
A
saying.
single
Like
encounter,
Yeah.
a single fight, then I would have it be numbers. I would have it be numbers
you'd
over
want to
power.
you'd
I
want
feel
it to
like
be
that's
quantity.
harder. That's
No,
way
but
harder to overcome in my mind, because
Sure.
a level 20, anything they're gonna hit is just gonna kill it. But let's say you can only kill 2 things per turn.
mhm.
So you got 6 people, like you're killing maybe a third of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But if
mean,
it like depending on the level, I would raise or lower the numbers. But yeah, if they're level 20, cool. Give them
Yeah.
3 zombies each so that, yes, theoretically, this can be done in one turn of combat,
Mm-hmm.
but also have it be like overwhelming to start with because, oh, there's 5 party members.
Yeah.
Guess what? There's 15 zombies right there.
mhm,
That's a lot of zombies for like when you're thinking about it, when the players are thinking
right.
about combat, they're thinking about what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
They don't think, cool, if that person does that, if that person does that, if that person does that, and if that person does that, and I do my thing, we can all get 3 guys each, and boom,
I
bing,
mean,
bing, boom,
I
it's
don't
done.
think you're
That's how I
realizing
think
how
of it.
exactly how we play. That is exactly how we
If
play.
I see
I have
Balthazar
learned
unloading
after
his spell slots on one person, I'm like, all right, he's gonna get that
Focusing
next
that
down.
turn,
Yep.
person's going to die.
or I
Yeah,
need to focus on it too.
yeah. Well, but like that's the thing is after last campaign, seeing how kind of almost haphazardly everything was running, I'm more in the mind spot this campaign of cool. I know I can do this and this, and they probably have those. Not 100% sure, but I got like a 50-50 chance that they can handle the Lich, and I can get
Yeah.
Joe
Mhm,
Schmo the Ranger over there. You know.
right.
Well, okay. So for a single encounter,
Mhm.
It's not an easy answer. It depends. So let's say that there's two reasons why it depends. One, yeah, party power level. You're not going to throw 50 zombies at a level 4 party. You won't.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get overwhelmed quick, and then not only that,
In the first turn, they'll be dead.
yeah, right? Like you won't, unless the intent is for them to run. What is the purpose of like the encounter, right? If it's just for to have your your players just kill some undead, like maybe they have a cleric who never gets to use their channel divinity. But I'm a little salty because I've only ever gotten to use the turn undead twice,
Yeah.
and both times it failed because they were higher CR than I could handle.
That happened to me too, and then he fell down a fucking well.
Yeah,
And I
but
cried about it. Then he crawled us out. Then he somehow crawled out.
yeah, weird.
Whoa, magic! Whoa.
But what I would do is I'd probably put it like, so now when you ask this question, you're asking just zombies specifically, or like
I'm
just
kind of
general
like,
undead?
can't be like, yeah, like what? Yeah, what? How would you do that? Because in my mind, I'm like, well, you got to add a new form of like action economy.
Nope.
Like for, I feel like you do.
Here's the best part, right? They have trick monsters, right? So these are like trick monsters are monsters that have like a thing that they do, or a certain way that if you react to them, they're more vulnerable or less vulnerable, right?
Mhm.
One trick monster that I've always wanted to use is a shadow. A shadow kills somebody, they are dead, and then they rise up as a shadow. And it's worse than what you might think just off the top. On
So
top of that, there's things like wights that when they kill you, you come back up as a zombie. So if they kill you outright, you're a zombie now. Welcome. That's one of those things where if I wanted to, if I really wanted to press like, hey, this shit's real, one of you might die. Right? Which is something that I would tell the party ahead of time. I'm not gonna like outright just kill a PC, yeah, with a surprise white fight while they're level 3, right? But what I would do is I would tell them like, hey, by the way, there's gonna be some shit in here. You guys might want to be on your stuff. And if you still go through with it, then okay, maybe Daniel's character goes down, comes back up as a zombie, and I say, hey, give me your character sheet because you don't need that anymore. And then what I would do if I really wanted to be a little more sadistic is I'd allow that zombie, because it was created by a white, to use your stuff against the party.
That's what I was. I
So
think that's acceptable. I
that
like that.
starts the shift of action economy right there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so your players are getting less and less options, and the tension's getting up. And then they really rely on dice to get them through it, because they're like, oh fuck, crit, come on, and you know, stuff like that. If I don't really care for
meet the antagonist early on and then have them deal with that sort of like, oh crap, like this is important.
Yeah. Or I'd give it just enough to where they couldn't, like if I wanted a single encounter, I'd give them a boss monster like a white, right? And I'd have them have some ads on in front, so that way they couldn't really fuck with them too much. You know, the ranged people, the spellcaster, so on and so forth, would still be able to like touch him, but the front line really wouldn't be able to mess with him too much. That way, it'd be more or less equal at the start. But if that party can't start drilling down those zombies by like round 3, then they're going to be in some trouble, because at that point the zombies are going to be just overwhelming them. Now they're turning into zombies because of this white, because if you die within X number of feet or whatever, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it starts to really push back. And I would want now, like before I just wanted you guys to have fun. Now I want you guys to have fun while I'm challenging you. That's where I'm at, because I recognize the frustration of being challenged, and then when you guys do ultimately overcome it, because
there's that escalated.
Well, there's also like that dopamine when you're like, holy shit, that was so good. Oh my god, that was challenging.
It's the same thing as any video game where you're just having problems with it. You come back to it the next day and you solve it, and you're just like, thank God that's done with. You know, it's exactly that. Yeah.
But so that's how I would do it. We're running a little long in the tooth on this one specifically. So The next question that we had from our random encounter questions is, what do you guys think is your greatest role-playing game accomplishment so far? It could be
Now, does this have to
s-
be with our party specifically, like our current group of people,
no,
or could
no,
it be
this
other
this could
DM,
literally be
other
anything that you guys have done in your tabletop like time in the
life?
hobby.
Yeah.
It could be something that like maybe you figured out as a player or a DM, or something like maybe if it's DMing, period,
Hmm.
just full stop, that's totally fine. Something that one of your characters did, just like, what's like the thing that like you're like, man, I love this hobby because of this, like this one thing is what
Yeah.
really made me go boop, I love it.
As a DM, probably my most proud moment is my big Cyberpunk campaign that I had going for, I think, 2 years. When it ended, one of the guys had bought a expensive piece of power armor, and he's like, "Yo, I don't want my character to just become an NPC. I want to become a fucking legend." And I was like, "Legend, you say? Cool." I made the last session a giant 4-hour fight where it was just a giant grindhouse slog. And at the end of it, all the players were dead, yeah, but every like I had the epic monologue moment at the end where like camera pulls out, everyone's like, yeah, they did it, they went against Militech and all of that shit. Like I made it feel like the city was like knew them, like they were now cemented in history. As a player, my favorite moment that I still look back upon proudly as a player was when in our last campaign that you were running, WarBoner, where we were in a female sphinx's cave solving riddles, and I was the one who kept getting the right answers. And the last one, the one that counted the most, everyone was like, "No, it's not that," and I blurted it out anyways. Of course, I'm right, and I'm like, "That's right. Your girl Emiko know her shit. Mm-hmm. Back off." Those are my favorite moments.
Okay, there we go. Now my mic is on. It was funny as the DM, like watching people argue with you over those questions.
Yeah.
Like paint.
Yeah.
Paint was an
Well, no,
answer, and you were like, "Is
the
that
favorite my
fucking paint?" And then was like,
my
"No,
favorite
no,
one
shut up."
was the baker's dozen one, where they're
Yeah,
like, "Well, it says dozen, so it's like
yeah.
it's 12." And I'm like, "No, she said baker's dozen. I've already done the math in my head. You guys know I'm good at math. It's 13. We fucking know this shit." And everyone's like, "I don't know about that one."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Listen here, you little fucking."
Well, that's also
shits."
because most people, like the other people in our party, most of them didn't know that a baker's dozen was 13. So half of a baker's dozen with the blah 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 blah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. All right. I was like, you guys are less right than the rest of you think, but at least there's one, and as soon as he says it, we can keep going. But yeah, I like that. Yeah. What about you, Dan?
Mine was actually killing one of our own player characters when we fought them in a tournament.
Oh yeah.
I was able to take down the unkillable, most overpowered character I've ever seen in
True.
D&D, and I did it with luck and strategy.
Dude.
Like literally
Lots
luck.
of luck.
Yep.
I
You were
used my
rolling high that night.
inspiration. I was thinking about anything that I could do just to take this character down, and that's how my character went down that night. Was I got close
so
enough
good.
to get her to come out of her
Hidey hole.
insane stealth.
Yep.
She could be out in the open in a field and disappear.
Yeah.
Like a 34 stealth. Like
Yeah.
she was insane.
So you're speaking, of course, about our previous assassin rogue, Celia.
Yeah, Celia.
Just a pure assassin rogue. Oh, with a
I
little
think
wizard.
everyone was more scared of her on the field than anyone, and that's the one
Yeah.
I wanted to take out. I didn't
So-
care about my character, who was a barbarian Goliath that had like over
Bear
200
totem.
hit points. Bear
Yep.
totem.
Yep.
I don't think he had a multi-class. Maybe he did, but he had his
Druid.
headsman's axe, which
Yeah.
was scary,
Dude.
But
So Headsman's Axe was
Celia
a
with
reflavored Vorpal.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, and she had hit me twice, and I had to heal up both
Yep.
times.
And
Like,
both
I
of those
was
were
on-
sneak attacks.
Yep.
Dude, that was nuts. I was blown away that he
Yeah,
decided
and
to.
he went all out defending himself too with
Yeah.
Celia with the changeling thing,
Yep.
which that caught me off guard because I thought he
Unsettling
was like,
visage.
yeah, and
Yep.
I didn't even know what that was. Luckily, I rolled higher, but
Yeah.
if
Because
I
that would
wouldn't
have
have,
imposed
I wouldn't have
disadvantage.
hit.
You wouldn't have
Yep,
hit. Dude,
and
that.
she would have disappeared right in front of me.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, we
that's
got her out, and then it was all down
downhill
that
from
hill
there.
from there. Because we all know Soul would just blink in and out and
Yeah.
poke jabs, and you know how to
Yep.
counter that, and so.
Well, I think
Yeah.
the end came to us just waiting for him to pop out, and then we just basically
Well,
like
Held
fire
action.
squatted him.
so
Yeah.
kind of, but here's the thing, right? He hadn't used any of his fucking leveled spells for blink. He hadn't used any of those spell slots except for blink. So he could have just kept. He came out. My character was holding action to dispel. As soon as he comes out, boom, dispel. And he was like, well, blink. And I was like, fucker. God damn.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that was
That was better to me than getting the last hit on Tiamat. Tiamat
Yeah.
felt like kind of
epic.
stolen because everyone wanted to get it.
Dude.
Everyone
like,
wanted that.
I was-
Yeah.
I was the only person that did the least amount of damage because I was frightened the entire time.
Until you weren't. And
Until I
as soon as you
wasn't.
weren't, dude, you
I
killed
went
it.
in and
Oh,
yeah,
so
it
good.
was good.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. That was epic. You guys had
fun. That was good.
I enjoyed that
What
so
about
much.
you? What
My
about you?
my
Boner of War.
okay, so the first one, right, is of course DMing. I had the most fun just starting to DM, right? So we'd gone through one campaign, we'd gone through part of a second campaign, and then we all kind of like we had Al's homebrew Fallout campaign, which was fine. It was kind of rocky because it was homebrew,
It was really
and we
rocky.
had
Let's
some
not fucking.
and we had some incredibly optimized player, but it was fun. And so when I finally was like, hey, let's get the gang back together again because I'm tired of not playing D&D, and I think for 2 years I put together that campaign and this world and everything, as most DMs end up doing, right? So I wasn't doing anything special, but once we started
Well,
playing,
that was before you started relying. That's before you started like DM shop talking with me as well.
yeah,
Because you did that all in secret, and then you were just like, "Yo, you want to play D&D one day?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I do."
yeah, it was great. And then we got Bruno in, and then we got Dan in, and then we had 6 people, so it was a DM and 5 people, and I was like, dude, it's happening. We're a D&D group now. And I loved every fucking minute of it, except for the bank heist getting fucking off the rails. But whatever. Like before the bank heist, but that's my first one. It's amazing. But it's funny that you bring up that fight with Memory Saul and Celia and all of that, because I had scoured for like a whole week. How the hell am I going to do this? Because we knew what was coming, right?
Right.
It was kind of heavy-handed. We're like, and so I'm like, how the fuck are we gonna do this? Because otherwise we're gonna lose, and it's totally fine if we lose this tournament because we don't die in this tournament. So what's the point, right? So of course we're gonna lose this tournament. How the hell can I? And so I literally went through every single item in the equipment and was like, how can I use this? Because I can make anything in there up to 100 gold with the fucking. And I was like, wait a minute, how many fucking ball bearings are in, do you get per pack? And I was like, 1,000 per gold, 1 gold. I can make 100,000. Okay. Where am I going to hold them? In my bag of holding. What happens when you turn a bag of holding inside out? It explodes with whatever's inside. And I was like, this is it. This is how, even though it didn't work because he didn't want to deal with it. I was heartbroken.
He couldn't comprehend. Yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't comprehend, so he just wanted to hand wave and go, fine, the entire thing is filled. And I was like, sweet. Oh.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much right there you could have worked with, but wasn't in the cards, and that's fine. But that
Yeah.
that to me, like going through and actually looking at every single piece of equipment and going like literally forcing myself to think, how can I work around this? Because anytime I use magic, I get canceled. Anytime I use my sword and shield, I get canceled. Anytime that I do anything besides just stand there and take hits, I get canceled. So how can I control the battlefield? And I was like, all right, that's it. You can't argue with this because it's all right there. And I know that if I just like show him, yeah, I can literally just take 100 gold according to the spell, and I can make ball bearings out of it just by doing this straight into a fucking thing for 1 whole hour. He was like, yeah, all right, fine. Like,
Yeah.
It was great because I just saw the look of like, yep, all right, you did it, you figured it out. It's like, yeah, it's good. But yeah, that's good. I think it's always good to think back on what we've accomplished as a D&D group, because man, oh man, we've gone through a lot. So, do we still have time for this character comparison?
Yeah.
All right.
Dan, do you want to do yours first?
Yeah, let's do our. So, real quick, let me just break this down for posterity's sake. So, in this segment, we wanted to pick a class and each come up with a character for it. And we're going to be doing this hopefully weekly. We're just going to go alphabetical right down the line. The rules that we use are, I'll have to make a graphic for this or something, but the base class must be what we picked. You can multi-class, but it can't be more than a 2-level dip for reasons. Build the character to level 6. There's the reasons. So that way your main class is whatever we picked. You could take a couple level dip into whatever if you want options or to flesh out a concept. You can create a backstory for that character, integrating one of the standard background examples from the source material, which will help you in creating your character concept. With items, you can have 2 magic items of uncommon or lower rarity, which I believe is what the Dungeon Master Guide says that people of that level should have around. Wondrous items are a gray area. If you know D&D, you know why. 1 piece of armor like studded leather or plate, unless it's a shield. If you're doing sword and board, then that doesn't count against your leather, so you're not wearing a cloth and using a shield. A single weapon, which would be flavored as like your iconic weapon, because I don't want you guys getting Vorpal swords and be like, no, this is my weapon. This is what my character would use at level 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One pack item, which if you look at those pack items, they can say a lot about the kind of life that your character leads, with the subtle differences in items. And then 100 gold pieces worth of other just filler stuff to kind of help tell your story about your character. So, Dan, oh man, you want to go first?
Sure.
All right, let's pull up your character. Echo. Whoa.
So, if we want to start in features and traits.
Features and traits.
So what I'm imagining, it doesn't show everything.
There you go.
Oh yeah, there we go. So what I'm envisioning this character, because I really thought the armorer artificer was kind of like the best of both worlds, and I didn't really know if I wanted to I think this would be a cool character to play, but even a cooler insert your own lore here, and these are a type of people like mercenaries or any sort of like a Mandalorian kind of or Predator, like something along those lines. I was going with kind of more of a ninja theme. So with the armor, you can switch in between a infiltrator or the guardian, is it? Or I don't know. Guardian, you can either have more strength and armor or more dexterity and stealth.
So, yeah, I think that's about right. You can choose those if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
right.
At every short rest.
Damn. So short rest.
Yes, a short rest. You could switch your armor if you have the tools. So naturally, we should all have the tools.
Yeah.
But what I liked about this, as far as like an NPC or player character standpoint, is they can really go out and do some scouting, prepare for the engagement, and then go in as a fighter. So
Okay.
what I've picked as far as perception, sleight of hand, and then alchemy tools. Um, alchemy was just I didn't really know what alchemist supplies were, so I was just kind of I don't
Potions,
know,
man.
potions.
Making potions, poisons,
Let's see, right tools for the
salves.
job. Yeah, I guess there's not a whole lot here besides I picked a hobgoblin. I like their synergy as far as you want to have some constitution if you're going to fight, and then you get a +1 for your intelligence.
Okay.
I did pick the sharpshooter feat because most of this character is built around a hit and run tactic. Um,
As a lot of
and
goblinoids do.
right, and so for the 2 magic items that I had given him the crossbow of warning, hand crossbow of warning, and then the
Okay.
serpent armor scales, just for the
Serpent
already
scale armor.
yeah. So
Okay.
does not impose disadvantage on stealth checks.
Oh.
So he's got advantage there.
Oh, that is
Can't be
so cool.
surprised. And how I was kind of like thinking of this character in my head is sort of like a space techie ninja that had like
Sweet.
like cybernetic kind of predator like helmet that looked like an Oni mask, but it
Sure.
was a goblinoid Oni mask, hobgoblin,
Yeah.
Oni mask.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I like it.
his whole thing is like, changing it like once he feels ready for the engagement, or even if he doesn't, the spells that I had picked out for this are like invisibility, jump, feather fall,
Yeah.
snare, like run away. He's got
Yep.
expeditious retreat, um, put a snare down, keep running. He can blur himself,
Yeah. And
and
then
then
of
his
course,
armor,
magic missile,
another
which
way.
never misses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
he could be running away, run around a corner, shoot a magic missile real quick, and then
hmm
woof. Okay, yeah, dude, I fucking love it.
As far as magic tinkering, I would try and use that primarily for like getting out of a stealth check. So if you're hopping tree to tree with your jump and something hears you, you can
Okay.
throw a bean that sounds like a squirrel running away,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
use that as sort of a distraction to take take the um
The focus off of
spotlight off
where
of
you
you.
are. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
On top of that, in combat for his infusions
All right.
in equipment, then down at the bottom,
Equipment.
that's just
Ah,
attunement.
we've got
But so
boots and a
he's
signet
got
ring.
yes. Wait, there should be one more, which maybe I didn't.
I think you only get the
So
two, right?
enhanced weapon. No, you can have three at
Oh, okay, okay,
6.
gotcha.
So enhanced weapon +1. That'll be good for
The crossbow.
because I don't believe you can change these. No, this is on the rapier, which is flavored as a
Oh,
katana. So it's just a +1
there it
for
is.
damage
Okay,
and attack rolls. Um,
that's a +1, and then the boots.
the boots are basically a free uh, Misty
Teleport.
Step.
Yeah,
Yeah. So misdirection. I've always wanted to do this in a game where you're like, greater invisibility than Misty Step, like behind a
yeah,
corner. And so
yeah.
what the person would see is just you disappear. They wouldn't know
Yeah.
your poof
Just
track.
looking around.
They're like, did it work? Um,
Stupid.
and so with his movement, I think I would be able to get away from just about anything and be
Yeah,
able to
dude.
shoot back
Yeah.
and then turn invisible when the time was right, lay down caltrops, just the whole
Nice.
ninja-y thing to escape.
Yeah, dude.
But
I think you've actually built a
yeah,
better ninja than the ninja fucking shadow monk. I
I
like
don't
it.
know anything about that. But yeah, it's fun, dude.
Oh,
I really want to play Artificer now
I
because
can
this
show
being
you.
flexibility is so
Yeah.
cool.
I
Yeah.
like this because it gives us the option of looking at a class and then building something from it, whether it be
Yeah.
lore driven or mechanics driven, and then going like looking at the mechanics of the class itself and going, oh, this is actually like this could be pretty fucking fun.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
Yeah. Also, dude, that crossbow of warning. Dude, that advantage on initiative. Also, by the way, DM tool, actually player tip. Yeah, player tip. Initiative, if you don't know, is a dexterity-based ability check that you make at the beginning of combat, which means that spells like guidance, which can add a d4 to a single ability check, you can add to your initiative. Also, things like enhance ability, cat's grace, which gives you advantage on all dexterity checks. So, if you have a cleric or a bard, or I think a ranger, or even a druid that can enhance your abilities and give you a dex if you are a slow character, not a slow character, but if your initiative is only a +2, which would mean that his dex is a +2. If he didn't have this crossbow hand of warning, he could still get advantage.
Yeah.
Pro tip. Please continue.
I mean, what else?
So
Cantrips that I picked were Green Flame Blade for
the rapier.
rapier, yeah, and then Firebolt for, ninja Haruken fire
As you do.
throwing abilities. I don't really know what else to say.
Well, what's his personality like? Any interesting quirks or anything like that? Like, what you made this character mechanically? How would
Yeah.
you play him? Like, is he like a lone wolf? Or you know what I mean? Like is he like a hi everybody? I want to be a part of the team. You know what I mean? How
Well,
would you?
technically,
Yeah.
the machine's supposed to work like this.
Yeah. How does he play?
I don't really know. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't really think that much into it. Like, I was more so excited of like the aesthetics and like, oh, you can do this and that's like a this.
Sure.
I didn't really, and that's kind of how I've done all my characters. Like, oh, you can do that, cool. Fuck everything
Sure.
else.
Fuck.
So
Yeah,
that's like,
yeah.
We don't
that's
have
kind of
to
not
worry
like
about personality or backstory. For
right.
one,
Like,
this is fucking D&D. This is a game about
yeah.
killing monsters. I fucking love it.
But I
That's-
don't know. I think I'll just play him as a mercenary. Whoever's got the most coin doing the thing.
That's
That's
bro, there is no better motivation than money in D&D. Period.
Yeah.
100%. And sometimes in real life too. But that's good. I like this. I actually really want to see this character. We should just do a one shot at the end of this. Once we've
I
done
would
all
love
of the
to.
classes, we should do a one shot where we just go through characters. Like just Tomb of Annihilation, send all of your characters through one by one.
Mhm.
That would be wonderful. All right. Nice. All right, Mr. Al. Mr. Papa Al. Would you like to talk about Isla?
So I made this character with backstory as the main focus instead of mechanics. So
Ye.
really, I was like, cool. You can just add whatever items you want to it. Wood elf, female wood elf, 30 years old. My backstory for them was as a younger elf, got made fun of by the other like higher tier elves that knew better magic than her and everything. So she kind of just abandoned that part, started running away from home habitually. And then one day, just people stopped coming looking for her. She gets picked up by a dwarf. He shows her the way of like making armor and stuff like that. Eventually takes her in as her as his like assistant apprentice. That's it.
Okay.
And then one day he gets called for war, and she's left with all these tools. She makes her own set of armor, her own weapons, and then she's like, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do my own thing.
So I take it you went with armorer for your subclass.
Yes. I believe we all went with the same thing.
Yeah, that's one thing we
it's
didn't
the
go
best
over.
one.
The
Unless
first
if they change alchemist to something that's much better.
the first
I thought about doing alchemist because of the wood elf, and then I was like, no, this is a better backstory in my opinion. These were the two backstories that kind of conflicted with me, and then I was like, I'm gonna go with this one instead.
So the first class that we did, in case we missed it, because I think we did, is artificer, and we each were supposed to choose just a subclass, and we didn't talk about it until it was done, and we both chose, or all three of us chose, the armorer, which is hilarious. because it really is like the best one for playing.
Mhm.
I mean, Battlesmith is cool. You get to make a little robot, but you know, sorry, just going on that tangent because I realized that we didn't actually talk about what subclass you chose, like actually say it out loud. But continue. I apologize.
Eventually he gets like called to a dwarf. He gets conscripted basically into service,
Mhm.
and she crafts her final set of armor, final set of armor, her final blade for herself, and then goes, "No one will hire my hands anymore. I will only craft myself," and becomes an assassin, trying to find information to where he is kept, so she can rescue him from service,
Okay.
and then campaign start. You know.
Nice. So
It would be something that you would have to work with a DM to incorporate into the world's history.
yeah,
But if you got that, like you could change a few details around. So instead of the service, he got killed or something like that. But I definitely tried to do it so that it would, so that there was enough things that it was loose enough that it wasn't concrete. You could change words, you could change people, you could change class. Like you could not change class, but you could change like race or sub race or whatever
yeah,
to make this character mold into the setting properly. But I was like, in the end, it's a concrete enough character that you can build a lore off of, but also can play as is out of the box.
yeah.
Or you can mold it to your own setting, or if the DM doesn't want to work with you, all right, cool.
The
Generic
point.
character, here's this thing, person died.
So
Done.
so the point of it is that you can take this character, this concept for this character, and you can drop it into any race that you want, any class that you want. You wanted to
Yeah.
focus on the actual role play of the character.
Yeah, and that was kind of where I was going for, instead of it being instead of being mechanic driven or item driven, it's role play driven. Um, her personality traits are incredibly slow to trust. Those who seem the fairest often have the most to hide, and I played that as, because she is very, to her quote unquote friends or party members, very like open and jovial, but behind closed door there's a skeleton full of there's a closet full of skeletons, kind of thing.
Sure.
The first thing I do in a new place is note the locations of everything valuable or where such things could be hidden. I did the criminal spy class not for the criminal part, but more for the spy. But I was like,
Yeah. I mean,
things
it's
doesn't
same.
necessarily mean gold items or stuff like that. It could be, oh, that's where the rich people live. Cool. Stuff like that.
Okay. I
And
see what you're
then
saying.
like the rest of those things were the ideal bonds and flaws. All of them are loose enough where I could go, where you could again mold it to your setting.
Yeah.
You could reword it to be fit for your setting or whatever, you know.
Sure. Sure. I like it. I like it a lot. Actually, I like the Swiss Army knife, if you will, of this
Yeah, you're
character.
proficient in a lot of things. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I see your feats. You did athletics, acrobatics, and stealth for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was
Yeah.
Skills.
was to go into the deception. Deception was kind of just so she can slide her way through any situation.
Wait, what?
Acrobatics and athletics. She has deception in her. Oh wait,
No, she's got
He took a feat.
athletics, acrobatics, and stealth for your feet, for the skill feat.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the skill feat, and then I did acrobatics and athletics because I was like, that makes sense for an
Yeah.
assassin. You're supposed to be
Yeah.
very agile in combat, very moving
Mhm.
about. History, I kind of figured that was kind of a
Smart.
leftover. That was
Yeah.
kind of a leftover from the idea of it being like an artificer of the forest, like an herbalist or something like that.
Sure.
And then I was just like, but any person who is learning from someone is learning history. If
Yeah.
I'm learning how to lay electrical cables from you, I'm learning the history of this cable or some part of history from it. You know, it's
Sure.
the same thing with this. Not to mention, you have 8 hours working a shop banging at a piece of metal cuirass.
Yeah.
You're gonna be bullshitting about something. Deception, just so she can slide through anything. Medicine,
Yeah.
because as an assassin, when you're in the field, you're not going to be able to just go to the medic and go, hey, patch me up. No, you've got to do that stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Nature and perception were kind of, perception was for the backstory. Nature was kind of just because wood elf. There we go. And then
gotcha.
stealth, of course, you have to do because assassin.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. And that, like you said, that could work with Wood Elf as well as it could work with Asimar, Aarakocra, whatever you want. And then
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Well, good. All right, let's round this out. So it's funny because my character, Catcher, is pretty well in between both of yours. I wanted to optimize him, but I wasn't gonna break the bank on it. I definitely had a single inspiration in mind. And again, we didn't discuss what we were gonna do until after the fact, and it was all said and done. So I also went with a armorer artificer, and I went with a warforged because the flavoring of artificer is always you don't cast spells, you make magic items, right? And of course, after Tasha's came out and canonized the idea of doing that anyways, artificers are like, oh, okay, so we're just like everybody else, right? But my armor is, well, here, let's back this up. So the inspiration for this was the T-1000 from Terminator 2. You'll see why. He is, as far as his backstory goes, he was created by someone as a slave herder because slavery is a thing that exists. And in D&D, it exists a lot harder. So he was created to kind of like, as you see these bands of slavers taking their stock away, he's one of the robots who was made to make sure that they don't try to escape. Something happened and he killed everybody, the slaves, all of his masters, all of them, of course, but one, because you can't kill all of them, it's impossible, right? So he's been tracking his master for months, and you'll see why I'm speaking like this in just a second. The master he's tracking has been actually leaving clues and like jabbing at him, so he's been keeping him on this breadcrumb trail for months now, up until the point where he meets the party, and then whatever happens, and then beyond that, hopefully the DM would be keeping some breadcrumbs going. Subsequently, his master also sends bounty hunter companies after him and whoever he's around. But he's either killed them or evaded them up until the point where he meets the party, so on and so forth. He's actually, so I went with his alignment first. He's lawful evil, which in D&D, we've already had the alignment discussion. Everybody and their mother has had the alignment discussion on D&D, but for the purposes of this, he's a lawful evil character. The only thing that keeps him from being chaotic evil is the fact that his prime directive, which is programmed into him, says to kill everybody that was a part of this slave group, including that one master. So he's not just going to go off on a wild killing spree until he kills this guy. And I would hope that by the time he does, he has developed enough to not do that. But
first he must meet his messiah, Hacker Man.
So basically, I've left a lot of this stuff vague, right? Because
I like it.
The DM hopefully would take a look at this and go, okay, here's the someone, here's the something that happened, here's the one master. I'll take care of this. And then by that time, I would hope that like a good DM would have dropped at least a few things to be able to update that character to ideally not go on a killing spree, but this is how I made him. So if you don't give me anything, and then by the end of it, like, hey, yeah, you killed him. Oh boy. And then turn on everybody else until he's destroyed. That's just how he's gonna go, because something's wrong with his brain piece. So that's like the backstory of him. In like the few questions of this character would be, who programmed him to be like this, right? These would be things that I would give to the DM of like, I don't want to know this. As a player, I don't want to know this about my character. Here, who did this to him? How did they do this to him? And why does this master keep toying with him? Like, keep dropping these breadcrumbs. So, to keep this moving forward, I actually had a deeper meaning behind this. Like, it's the questions that I had to ask myself for this character after I was done is like, is evil inherent? In D&D, it can be, but not really. So there would be like a lesson attached to this character. Or is it learned? Or in this guy's case, is it programmed? So is it forced on people in the world of D&D? And this would be something that this character would essentially have to come to terms with throughout the arc of his story. That being said, I did go through and pick some stuff out for him. So I gave him the infusions of boop. Where are we? Infusions. It won't show here, but I gave him the infusions.
Go to equipment.
Yeah.
And then scroll down.
Yeah. So one of the infusions that I gave him is this arm blade. So replicate magic item. I gave him that twice. One was for an arm blade rapier. Warforged are the only people, unless your DM says it's okay, who are able to have arm blades, which essentially function as my hand turns into this or is stowing this item. So he already has one. That's one of his magic items. The infusion creates a second one. So he has 2 rapier arm blades. Basically, it gives him 2 weapon fighting if I want him to. And I flavored this as it comes out of his hand like T-1000 Spike in Terminator 2, right? But he fights with it. So he does that with both hands. The other magic item that I had him replicate was a bag of holding. Because as any good predator would know, you have to have an escape plan, right? So, D&D mechanics, if you take one bag of holding and you place it inside of another bag of holding, you create a rift which sucks everybody into the astral plane, where you will most likely die. But that's a legit thing that, like, I'll keep that one in the pocket just in case we ever get to the point where we're about to die and the DM goes, what do? You're on death's door. I take out my bag of holding and I put it in my other bag of holding and I say, get away from her, you bitch. Because now I'm just mixing all the references. But that was the thing, is like he's prepared to go out. He's also prepared to kill whatever needs to be killed. I gave him Dungeoneering Pack because there was actually a lot of things that come in that you can use for hunting. His main background, his canon background or whatever, is urban bounty hunter. So he's real good at tracking. He's been tracking a person for a long time, and he may or may not have taken up a couple of jobs that coincided with that, because he's willing to lie and use whoever for whatever in order to get closer to this guy. And so part of that is he's become somewhat of a bounty hunter. He sticks to like populated areas because it's easier to catch mice when they're inside of a cage already, as opposed to traversing the wilds for, wherever else they end up going. Again, he's a lawful evil. His personality traits, we don't have to go necessarily through all of them, but the one that he does do is that the prime directive is of the utmost import. And part of that is because, like I said, he'll use the party. This is that character that, like, does nefarious things, like, around the party, but he'll also prove himself to be so useful that they're like, well, fuck, all right, stop doing that, please. And he'll be like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then he'll go on because he's like, I have to do this. I gave him, instead of Green Flame Blade, I actually gave him Booming Blade as a point of, like, he hits, and then he's like, if you leave, you're gonna get hurt, right? So it's a way of like, I caught you, now stop, because I'm gonna kill you, but don't make it any harder on me, right? And then Shocking Grasp for the purely mechanical advantage of not being able to take reactions until the start of their next turn, which is nice. I gave him Catapult, and I gave him Catapult for a reason. The reason being, and I think I had kind of said this to you guys before we had started streaming, is part of the items that I gave him was I wanted him to be able to craft a bolo and then use Catapult to send a bolo flying and to capture people, to snare people up to basically 90 feet away. I don't think that's too much for a DM to go, yeah, all right, we could swing that.
Yeah, you're literally just throwing it with a spell, so...
That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And they take bludgeoning damage from it, and that's totally fine. but it is what it is. The feat that I gave him is boop, Eldritch Adept. So I wanted to give him Mask of Many Faces because, as everybody knows, the T1000 can change his shape and face to look like whatever. So this is how I incorporated that, as well as making part of his like how he plays, very like not robotic, but like unnatural. Like looking at him just off on the surface, you would be like, all right, well, there's a person, until you started like noticing his mannerisms, and you'd be like, what's wrong with that guy? Why is he so weird? He just moves all robotic and like like he just does stuff that doesn't, it's unnerving. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but the human brain is actually wired to notice things that aren't quite right as a defense mechanism in real life. If you see something that looks kind of human, it's more off-putting when you realize that it's not, and it like triggers an innate response for you to run away. So I'm actually playing off of that, hoping, I don't know, that the DM knows that obscure piece of information, but
Yeah.
just something like that to kind of help bring this character's like, I'm not supposed to be here to life. I also gave him a bunch of stuff for catching people. Fairy fire. Because, I wanted to use it as like a scan, like a meep, like his eye comes out and then boom, advantage, everything gets lit up in green, yada yada yada. You can see the target that you're chasing if they're trying to hide using invisibility. So if your character wanted to misty step out and be invisible behind a tree, Mega would be like, nah, yes, there you are. Yeah, right?
Yeah, after he was already affected.
Exactly, exactly. Thunder Wave, just to knock people prone. Magic Missile, because it never misses, just like you. Heat Metal, because that way if I can cast it and they still want to try to run away, it's going to hurt, as we all know. Cooking book, boys, cooking book. Yeah. Levitate, in order to actually, you can cast that on other people, and then they just can't move unless they have a fly speed, per the spell. So if someone's running away and you cast it on them and they fail their saving throw, they're going to have a hard time. Mirror image, because of course sometimes you have to get away from people. Shatter, I think, just came with it. Yeah, shatter and mirror image came with it. And then web.
Yeah.
Because web is one of the most OP fucking spells in this whole entire game. Being able to slow and stop people in a huge like area, a 20-foot cube. That's bananas. So that's Catcher in the Rye.
Nice.
Nice.
But yeah, there was a point to all of this, right? If you've made it this far in the video, or in the stream, then you're probably going, well, what the hell? You just want to show off that you guys can do this? Well, yes, but also, we did this because like it's a good creative tool for writing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Dan, you were saying that, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to out you here, but that you haven't had this much excitement over writing in quite a while.
I mean, just being able to look at different options, because I've never looked at the. So I think in this current campaign, Artificer was officialized. It had
Yeah,
always been a
Eberron.
Eberron, like whatever, and you could only play it there. And now it's like, okay, anyone can do it now. That's official. D&D Beyond supporting it. You don't have to do a homebrew
Yeah,
whatever that someone else made or come up
yeah,
with your own. And so they're still really new. And now looking at this character, it makes sense why it took them so long to officialize it,
yeah,
because there are things in this that can be very broken. Like
yeah.
once you get into level 15, like where you can
Mm-hmm.
attune to tons of different magic items, and if you're, infuse like making your
Yeah.
own and handing them out to the
Oh,
group, you're
or
making
their
the whole party stronger.
capstone ability, where you get up to, what is it, 6, I think, by that time, and then you can just use them to not die.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, death
just
saving throw.
sacrifice.
Nah, get rid of
Yep.
it. That's fine.
Yeah.
I could just
Make a
build it
new one
after a
tomorrow.
short rest, or yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and then Al, I've if I'm not mistaken, didn't you say that you had never looked at an artificer until this time either?
I had tinkered with the idea of Artificer for Red, my
That's
character,
right.
my backup character for your campaign. But I never really got past the idea of what if machine make more like gadgets and stuff like that. That was like as far as it got because I was like, that's a cool idea for backstory. This was the furthest I got in like looking at mechanics, going, oh, this is cool. Oh, you add this with this, and this makes that. Like this is all that combined together. Like it made me look deep into the inside of the class, and it wasn't just like, cool, let me throw together character here, backstory, generic stuff, bye, go. Ready for podcast. You know, it was like sitting there and going, I have this idea for backstory in my mind. This works perfectly. Here's a race that meshes with it,
and I'm gonna make it work.
Put that in here. Yeah, exactly. Like it was putting a bunch of things together and then like making a soup and then just happy that it's edible and then finding people go, oh, it's great fucking soup.
like what Rabe did. Anyways, so I don't know if you guys remember.
We were all supposed to be animal fucking people, you assholes, and y'all pitched me on that.
Look, no. All I'm saying is you guys remember the time when Rabe tried to make a soup and it was horrible?
Shut the fuck up.
Oh right.
Yeah. Anyways, so
I gotta say though, I'm so surprised that none of us picked the race gnome, because that one synergizes the most with artificer.
Dude, I mean, that's what they do. It's basically them. This class was built for them. Yeah,
one of
100%.
us was gonna do it. I didn't pick it because I was like, nope, I don't want to be the third one.
You don't want to be the guy.
Yeah.
No. See, I made mine with the idea of, here's a backstory that's like half made, and then add shit onto it, and then add prequel onto it, and there we go. And I was like,
well, no. For what it's worth,
I already know the backstory. I already know the race I want. So.
For what it's worth, the next class will be a barbarian. I'll make a gnome barbarian. And he'll fucking eat everybody up. But regardless,
small, angry barbarian.
so
I'm mad.
There was more reasons why we did this other than just like, we can, like, we're hyped for writing. But also it's to show that even though we all had literally like the same basic premise, artificer, armorer, we had wildly different characters. We have a bounty hunter, a ninja, and a fucking assassin. Which ninja, assassin, sure, maybe that's pretty close, but they don't play the same at all. They don't have the same shit. It's very, very different. And so I know that there's like in D&D there's a usually like a stereotype of classes and races and so on and so forth. And right here, just this one exercise, the first of hopefully many, we've already proven that no, not really. Whoever is saying that is completely wrong, because the three people who have been playing for 4 years now, almost 5 years now, give or take, like we all made very different things. And then the last one is just like to hopefully inspire somebody who's watching this in the future, or the couple of you that are watching right now, like maybe help you jumpstart into some writing. If you're writing a campaign, hopefully you can use these like characters to build out some parts of cities, or hopefully it gives you like a little spark of intuition that, oh yeah, you know what, I hadn't thought about maybe this or that. Or if you've got writer's block, just like helping to get through the motions of like looking at some slightly obscure, slightly minuscule details and blowing those up could help you get through it. Because I know it's helped me.
Yeah.
I've started writing again since a few days ago when we were talking about doing this. I'm like, all right, now my campaign's going to be way more convoluted. Haha. But yeah, and we'll be doing this hopefully every week. So make sure, as always, hit the buttons, ring the bells, do all of that. Make sure your phone's on. You gotta make sure your phone's on. And
you all have phones, don't you?
Don't forget, hit those crits. We'll see you next time.
Those crits.
On the Working Title Podcast, Anthony, Dan, Papa Al. You guys have a good night.